Welcome back, everyone. I swear, there is no time for me to take a break with videos this week because there's just so much happening. Honestly, if you so much as blink, this whole damn market is going to pass you by, it seems. So, in case you missed it, Heritage Auctions just had its first round of signature auctions just take place this morning, April 2nd, 2021. And in this auction block, we had some insanely rare and premium video games sell for insane prices. If you don't know, Heritage is this premium auction site where you can send video games that have been WATA graded to, and a lot of the sale prices that happen on Heritage are larger than you're going to get in any other marketplace. A lot of these Heritage sales are simply you can't replicate on eBay or private or anywhere else. Heritage always has a way of bringing out the biggest bidders and the best items. Now, I could make a video on basically every single game that just sold, so let's just hop into this here and we'll go over a few of the ones that really stood out to me. So let's just jump in here and start with the one that's going to make every headline, be on everyone's news report, the one everyone's going to talk about. Super Mario Bros. Sells for a record price of $660,000, which is just incredible, really. When we start getting into the debates of like, would you rather have Mario Bros. Or would you rather have a house? It always just sounds kind of stupid, you know what I mean? But obviously we're dealing with luxury goods here. So, 660,000 Super Mario Bros. We're dealing with a fourth print here, which is essentially the earliest you can hope to obtain at this point in time. When we talk about first, second, third, fourth print Mario Bros., we are talking about extremely low population numbers. Like if we took first through fourth and combined them all, you might have 10 total copies that exist. That might be high, honestly. These are no joke, and that's not even considering the condition it's in, which is actually near mint to mint. Without getting too nitty gritty here, the only thing you really need to understand is that this is a hang tab Mario Bros. That's the major revision that is still prevalent on this copy. So even if a fifth print comes up in similar condition, I don't expect it to undersell because it's a fifth versus a fourth. They're both still hang tab Mario Bros. What will actually matter way more is what condition it's actually in. And with this one being a 9.6 A+, I don't expect a higher condition hang tab one to come up anytime soon, honestly. So if you don't follow the high-end market at all, maybe you're wondering, like, how insane is this sale? Did anyone see this coming? Was this expected? What do people think about this? What I can say is that there were very, very few people who were estimating that this game was going to break $500,000. That was the ceiling for most everyone who was throwing guesses out. Most people were expecting something in the $300,000, $400,000 range. So everyone knew that this was going to be a new record. There was no doubt of that. But we didn't know where the ceiling was going to sit on this. Anyone guessing and speculating was generally going too low, which is insane to think. If we go back in the Heritage sales here and find the last hang tab Mario that sold, it sold back in July for $114,000. And that's almost a year ago now. And if we take all the data since then, every insane sale, every record-breaking price, it's no surprise that obviously the next Mario that came up in mint condition was going to smash records. Mario is truly starting to separate himself as the king of video game collecting. And I can only assume that this trend is going to continue into the future as well, as we are already seeing every game with Mario plastered on it basically selling for massive premiums. In this Heritage auction block alone, we saw Mario 3 sell for $52,000, Mario 2 Round Seal sell for $39,000, another worse condition Mario 3 that sold for $21,000, another Mario 3, this time a first print but the wrap was removed, at $19,000, and 3 more Marios under that, all selling under $10,000 each. And don't think that these Mario prices are exclusive to the NES titles. We are seeing these kinds of premiums for your Super Mario Karts, your Mario Parties, your Mario Hotel. Well, maybe not Mario Hotel, but you get what I'm saying. Any kind of flagship game with Mario on it is insanely collectible right now in factory sealed form. If you happen to have some factory sealed Mario games just hanging out in your collection, you might want to consider sending them in for grading and sending them to Heritage for sale right now. The market is red hot and it could result in some life-changing money. And now let's switch gears away from Mario because there's still a lot to talk about in this auction recap. And these next two games are ones that also broke $100,000 in this auction. We have Mega Man second print and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out Oval Seal. Of these two games, it was actually Mike Tyson's Punch-Out that surprised me more than the Mega Man sale. Prior to this auction, we had seen some Mike Tyson sell for $20,000. We even had one get up as high as $30,000. But these were in pretty good condition, but they didn't have that super condition premium on them. Now, of course, when we look at this one that just sold for $100,000, you can see that this is a 9.6 A++, which is basically best of the best when you get down to it. And this just shows how important the condition premium is when we're talking about collectible video games. If you're ever out hunting or buying a video game, factory sealed or not, and you have the chance to get better condition by paying just a slight amount more, you should always do it. There's a very good chance that that little amount of money you pay now will come back to you tenfold if the price of the game does go up in the future. And if the price happens to go down, you're more protected against a sharp drop as you're holding a more premium item. It always feels bad to pay the premium at the time, but I assure you it's almost always the better choice. Going back to the Mega Man quick that sold for $144,000, Heritage Auctions hasn't had an auction for Mega Man since 2019, where a first print sold for a record-breaking $75,000 at the time. Given everything that's taken place and every sale that's taken place since 2019, it's not surprising to see that now a second print in near mint condition can sell for over $100,000. Maybe some of you will feel differently about that one, but I didn't find the Mega Man that surprising overall. It's Mega Man. Now, if you watched my earlier video about this Heritage auction, then you know there were two other listings that I was super interested to see how they did. These were the Pokemon Crystal and the first print Pokemon Red. So let's just start with the first print Pokemon Red, 9.4, A++, selling for $72,000. And the very first thing we can note here is that this did not exceed the previous auction record for a Pokemon Red, which was $84,000. The one that sold for $84,000 was a 9.8 A++ second print. And once again, this shows how strong that condition premium is, especially when we're talking about 9.8 A++, which is essentially perfect. If you're curious to know which version of Pokemon Red or Blue you own, I've already done a video covering all the variants if you want to check that out. But you check that video out when you're done watching this one. I swear to God, I had better not see a drop off in viewership when I go to look at the data. And the second game that I was super interested in was Pokemon Crystal. And that's because this is the first time Pokemon Crystal has been offered at Heritage Auctions, and it was in the perfect 9.8 A++ condition, and it did not disappoint. In fact, this Pokemon Crystal that sold for $90,000 became the highest selling Pokemon title ever now, eclipsing the Pokemon Red that sold for $84,000 prior. And this may sound crazy because Pokemon Crystal doesn't have the same notoriety that Pokemon Red does, but Pokemon Crystal as an actual rare game is much harder to find than a factory sealed Pokemon Red. Pokemon Crystal sold far less than Pokemon Red did, and it has always carried a premium amongst the Pokemon titles. Combine this with being a perfect grade and being the first one to come to Heritage Auctions, and we had a recipe for an insane auction that lived up to the hype. However, it is fair to assume that if a Pokemon Red first print in 9.8 A++ came up for auction, it would probably exceed this Pokemon Crystal sale. That is probably true. But until that happens, Pokemon Crystal is the grail. Pokemon Crystal is actually my favorite game. It was the first one I played growing up, so really cool to see it get in the spotlight. And let's just stay on the Pokemon train here for a bit, because holy shit did we have some big Pokemon sales. We had Pokemon Stadium 2 for $26,000, Pokemon Sapphire for $50,000, Pokemon Emerald for $55,000, Pokemon Emerald again for $19,000, Fire Red and Leaf Green both sitting around $7,000. Pokemon absolutely exploded in this auction block. And quite honestly, I don't know if Emerald and Sapphire can sustain $55,000 price tags. That just seems insane for a Game Boy Advance title. They just aren't that old. There's a lot out there, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in another year, we're going to be looking at a $100,000 Sapphire sale. It's hard to predict with this market. To end off this recap here, I'm just going to go through some of the listings and make a mention of some that caught my eye. So first off here, we had Ocarina of Time Collector's Edition selling for $30,000. Makes sense, one of the most popular Zelda games ever, one of the best games ever made. I'm sure most people can agree that if Pokemon and Mario are selling for record prices, so should Ocarina of Time. Mario Kart 64 at $34K. You got Mario slapped on there. It's probably the best Mario Kart 64 game. I mean, at least for people who are paying these kind of prices, right? So it makes sense to me. A really cool one to see, in my opinion, was the John Madden Football Championship Edition, which actually sold for $50,000. If you're not familiar with this game, it was one of those blockbuster-only rental exclusive type deals. It might have saw a very limited release after that, but it's extremely difficult to find factory sealed because of this. This has long been the grail of Madden games, if you want to call it that, just because of how difficult it is to acquire even a complete in-box one. The manual is always missing, so it makes sense that seeing a factory sealed one where it is just actually super hard to find a factory sealed one would get this kind of premium. Final Fantasy III on Super Nintendo sold for $50,000, and I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Final Fantasy 3 and 2 are very difficult to find on Super Nintendo, factory sealed in any condition, so I'm sure this is just someone paying to finally get one when they just don't come to market. We also had Dragon Warrior 3 sell for $26,000, and this is another one that's just like Final Fantasy 3 in that it just never comes to market. Factory sealed copies of this game just don't exist. Dragon Warrior 1 is pretty available. Dragon Warrior 4 has some floating around out there here and there. You can probably find one if you look hard enough. But Dragon Warrior 2 and 3 just never come to market in any kind of condition. So I understand this sale. It might be the last time one comes up, and if someone wants to complete the 1 to 4 set, this might be the last chance they have in a long time to do it. So, and let's end off the video here by looking at one that I think is actually really cool. Tengen Tetris sold for $36,000. Now, if you don't know what the hell Tengen Tetris is, this is the unlicensed version that actually came out before the Nintendo licensed version. Tengen was the first company to acquire the rights to Tetris, but then a legal dispute happened and a whole mess of stuff. The Gaming Historian did a really good episode following all the stuff that happened with Nintendo and Tengen and Tetris, so if you're into that kind of thing, I highly recommend you go and check out that video. So what we have here though is the unlicensed version, $36,000, near perfect condition. And this game is just so cool to me as a collector, because if you go back to the year, 2000-ish, this game was considered one of the grails of Nintendo NES collecting. So it was called Mike Etler's Rarity List, and this is what all of the old-time collectors were working off of back in the year, 97 to 2000. And on this list, Tengen Tetris was seen as one of the holy grails. This was above stadium events, there were no Super Mario sealed games selling for these record prices. You had one person's opinion from what he sees at his game store. Now, obviously, as time passed, Tengen Tetris fell down the ranks, and it sits where it is now, where it's a pretty uncommon game, all things considered. But just knowing that it has this really cool collector story behind it just always makes it resonate with me. Now, I have no idea if the buyer knows anything about this little piece of history I just told you. This is some pretty niche stuff, but I do assume they know about all the controversy surrounding this release, and that's where most of the value stems from. For me personally, this is the grail of unlicensed game. I would rather own this than any of the Panesian games or Caltron or any other of those really hard to find rare unlicensed titles. This Tetris just means way more to me. Anyway, that's the end of my recap. If you want to check out the rest of the auctions and see all the end prices, you can head over to heritageauctions.com. You will need to make an account if you want to browse completed listings, but I recommend it as there's a lot of good pricing information on there. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you think things are underpriced, overpriced, what's sold, under market, over market. Let me know how you feel about the whole auction. Until next time. Going back to the Mega Man quick, if you're ever out hunting or buying, let's just go back to talk to the Mega Man quick. If you're ever out hunting or buying, if we go back to the Mega Man, if you're ever out hunting, Mega Man quick, if you're ever out hunting or buying a collectible, if you're ever out buying or hunting